Hey there, folks. Put on your zoot suits and cloche hats because today, we're time traveling back to the Great Depression. Imagine this: banks are failing, people are struggling to make ends meet, and public enemy number one isn't who you'd think. Forget Wall Street bankers, the man everyone's talking about is none other than Charles Pretty Boy Floyd. Charles Arthur Floyd, better known as Pretty Boy, was born on February 3, 1904, in Adairsville, Georgia. The eldest of 7 children in a farming family, his early life was characterized by poverty and hardship. The Floyds lived in a modest farmhouse and worked arduous hours to eke out a living from the land, a daily struggle that left little time for luxuries or idleness. In an environment so dominated by financial struggle, Floyd's early life was influenced significantly by his family's circumstances. His father, Walter, was a hard-working but underpaid farmer, and his mother, Mamie, was a homemaker who instilled in her children a sense of discipline and the importance of community ties. While Walter Floyd's influence taught Charles the value of hard work, it was perhaps the absence of economic opportunities that led him down a different path. Even as a teenager, Floyd displayed a tendency toward criminal activities. His early crimes were mostly petty offenses, small thefts, bootlegging, and minor cons that provided quick financial gains. But it was obvious that Floyd had the charisma, the daring, and perhaps the desperation to aim higher. At the age of 18, he was involved in his first significant criminal enterprise, a payroll robbery that demonstrated his willingness to take bigger risks for larger payouts. While this operation landed him some money, it also marked the beginning of his life on the wrong side of the law. The moniker Pretty Boy is believed to have been acquired during Floyd's early criminal days. The nickname was initially not to his liking. He preferred Chalk, short for his childhood nickname, Chalk Floyd. However, the name Pretty Boy stuck after a robbery when a witness referred to him as a pretty boy, possibly due to his youthful appearance and handsome features. The media latched onto this name, finding it catchy and contrasting sharply with the violent acts he was involved in. Charles Pretty Boy Floyd's criminal career is punctuated by several high-profile bank robberies that contributed to his notoriety. Among these, the heist in Sylvania, Ohio, remains legendary for its audacity. Floyd and his gang managed to loot over $40,000, a tremendous sum for that era, and elude the police in a dramatic car chase that ended only when they reached the safety of the backroads they knew so well. Another memorable robbery was the heist in Kansas City, Missouri, where Floyd's gang outsmarted the police by using decoys to divert their attention while they made off with the money. Floyd had a distinctive approach to his bank robberies. He was known for his meticulous planning, reconnoitering the bank and its surroundings in advance, and identifying multiple escape routes. He often wore well-tailored suits during his heists, perhaps as a form of mockery against the establishment he was stealing from, and as a contrast to the tattered attire of the average man during the Great Depression. Floyd and his gang would storm the bank, weapons in hand, and demand the money quickly and efficiently. It was a point of pride for him that no customer was ever harmed during these operations. The gang would then make their escape in fast cars, often modified for speed and handling, ensuring a quick getaway that left local police in the dust. Despite his life of crime, Floyd won over a segment of the public through acts that, at least superficially, seemed altruistic. Stories abound of Floyd destroying mortgage documents after a bank robbery, essentially freeing local farmers and homeowners from their debts. While these tales are difficult to confirm, they contributed to his Robin Hood-like image. He was also known to be polite and even generous to hostages or bystanders caught up in his heists, further complicating his image as a mere criminal. Many saw him as fighting back against a system that was rigged against the common man. The media, always hungry for a good story, also played a role in humanizing him, publishing accounts of his good deeds alongside his crimes. Charles Pretty Boy Floyd was far from the only outlaw to capture the public's imagination during the Great Depression. Names like Bonnie and Clyde, John Dillinger, and Al Capone were also making headlines. However, each had a distinct modus operandi and public persona. While Dillinger was known for his flamboyant style and brazen daylight robberies, Bonnie and Clyde became famous for their romantic partnership, as much as for their criminal activities. Al Capone, meanwhile, had turned criminal enterprise into a business, complete with a level of organization that resembled corporate America. What set Floyd apart was his Robin Hood-like image, reinforced by stories of his destroying mortgage documents and his politeness even in the midst of crime. Whereas others might have been seen purely as criminals or thrill-seekers, Floyd managed to carve out a niche as a sort of anti-hero, complicating efforts to categorize him simply. During this time, the FBI was coming into its own as a federal law enforcement agency, and its director, J. Edgar Hoover, was eager to assert its importance. Capturing high-profile criminals like Floyd offered a chance to demonstrate the agency's effectiveness. Hoover was particularly determined to catch Floyd, labeling him Public Enemy No. 1 and dedicating substantial resources to his capture. Hoover's focus was not just on ending Floyd's crime spree, but also on making an example out of him. Floyd's status as a folk hero, as well as his audacity in evading capture, had made him a frustrating but compelling target. Hoover hoped that capturing Floyd would not only end his criminal career, but also serve as a deterrent to others. The investigation into Floyd's activities presented numerous challenges. His local knowledge, coupled with the public's reluctance to cooperate with law enforcement, made him an elusive target. Additionally, the jurisdictional limitations of the time made cross-state chases difficult. However, breakthroughs came through diligent detective work and the application of emerging forensic techniques. Informants within Floyd's network were eventually turned, and a clearer picture of his operations began to emerge. Tracking the serial numbers of banknotes from his robberies also provided leads on his movements. In the later part of 1934, the net began to tighten around Charles Pretty Boy Floyd. The relentless pursuit by the FBI and local law enforcement had been intensified by the killing of an FBI agent, making Floyd's capture a top priority for J. Edgar Hoover. Utilizing a mix of traditional investigative techniques and the still novel science of forensics, the FBI managed to get increasingly closer to their target. The turning point came when Melvin Purvis, the same FBI agent who had led the operation that resulted in John Dillinger's death, received a tip about Floyd's whereabouts. Acting on this information, law enforcement set up a roadblock near East Liverpool, Ohio. On October 22, 1934, Floyd and another individual were spotted in a car. After a brief chase and exchange of gunfire, Floyd was fatally wounded. Floyd's death marked the end of an era. With his demise, one of the last icons of a particular brand of Depression-era outlaw was gone. The story did not end there, however. The FBI's account of Floyd's final moments was met with skepticism by some. Officially, Floyd was reported to have been killed while resisting arrest, but alternative accounts suggest that he may have been executed after capture. Regardless of the circumstances, his death was a watershed moment both for law enforcement and for the American public. So there you have it, folks, the rise and fall of America's Depression-era Robin Hood. A man who defied the system, danced with danger, and died as both a villain and a folk hero. Until next time, folks, keep questioning, keep exploring, and most of all, keep challenging the narrative. Thanks for tuning in.